We continue our chapter reading of the Arabs at war in Afghanistan. This chapter is entitled Rashid and Mawlawi Mansur's Contribution to the Arab-Afghan Jihad. And I'll make myself disappear so you can find it. (1988). Despite this limited aid, Mansour continued to suffer from this experience and the resulting boycott till his life was ended by an assassination organized by Gulbuddin Hekmatyar in 1993. According to the belief of those who were close to Mawlawi Mansur. Nonetheless, Mawlawi Mansur made a unique contribution to history because he was responsible for the very clearly early establishment of the Taliban, which changed the history of Afghanistan. He was the one to establish relations with Iran at that time. Now, just to follow up on that, during Operation Cycle, which was a CIA operation that was having CIA case officers, NGOs send weapons through Pakistan because Taliban would only work, as well as Arabs, only work with the Pakistan ISI, with the Muslim country. So we developed relations with Pakistan. On the other hand, Pakistan ISI had other people within its agencies that were sympathizers of the Taliban and the Arab Afghans. These Arab Afghans went on to form al-Qaeda, Abu Sayyaf and Jemaah Islamiyah. And both of those groups, Abu Sayyaf and Jemaah Islamiyah, located in the Philippines and Indonesia, respectively, and also are allies to al-Qaeda at the time. And they would only deal with the Pakistan ISI. So the ISI gave them the weapons that the CIA gave and the training that was involved. And so we made an army. She'd suffered too. Pakistan did not tolerate him or Mawlawi Mansur because they made direct contact with the Americans without passing through the ISI first, which is not allowed. America became angry with Mawlawi Mansur because of his statements, and Pakistan became angry with Rashid because he sidestepped them and made a bridge straight to America. Rashid started to be chased by the ISI, told the Afghans not to cooperate, began harassed. Saw that as an eyewitness. One day I was in his Islami Khalid's office in Peshawar. Haji Din Muhammad, the deputy of Khalid, was there. He told me that she don't deal with Rashid. Doubt it. He is an ISI fellow. Same time, I knew that the ISI visited this office regularly and was welcome. So I came to the conclusion that we're trying to push Rashid out of the arena. I think Rashid was poorly treated by the Afghans, the Arabs and the Pakistanis, and he deserved better. The Arabs in Leah and Kais did not treat him well because he had no beard and he smoked. The Salafis. Anybody who did not have a beard and smoked was not a good man. Would not cooperate. And Rashid asked me to gather the Arabs to form an Arab force for fighting. So he intended to train and try to collect weapons for. I helped them to launch operations. They did not cooperate fully because they did not trust me. Hardly trusted me because I was not a Salafi, even when they had known me for some good amount of time. And so Rashid's contribution was not fully recognized, despite the ideas and the training he gave us at Kais having such an important impact in Arab and Afghan Mujahideen circles long afterward. Leah Farrall. Yes, seems to me that the ideas toward Kais are reflected even in the events surrounding Al-Qaeda's genesis. Bin Laden went to establish his al-Masri base in 1986. It was Kais graduates, Abu Hafs al-Masri, Muhammad Atta, Abu Ubaidah al-Banshiri. Remember, they were trained by the Haqqani network and then went to the al-Masri base. That's how that's why Banshiri and Masri were the experts in military training. Masri was police officer. I think Banshiri served in the military in Egypt. They attempted to convince Bin Laden not to establish a traditional base, but to use it to operate a guerrilla force in the area. Mustafa Hamid. Yes. And Abu Jihad al-Masri also trained, although he did not attend Kais because he was convinced of the benefits of guerrilla warfare. And what was the result? The result was that 3 of them ended up joining Abu Abdallah in his work in the conventional war. Why? Discuss this more later, but it is important here to highlight the effort. Abu Abdallah, who was Osama bin Laden, personality had on others, and in this way on the outcome of particular aspects of the jihad, like the introduction of guerrilla warfare to the conflict. Abu Abdallah was a courageous, decent man who spent his money for the jihad against the Soviets. People followed him even if he was doing wrong because they liked him. The Arabs follow a leader, not an idea. Find a person they trust and they follow, not the idea. Because of that, Abu Hafs, Abu Jihad, Abu Ubaidah all moved away from the idea of guerrilla warfare, which they were 100% sure was good. Like others, they followed Abu Abdallah because they loved him and trusted him. This is very similar to what happened in 2001. For the 9/11. And in the war in 2001, no one from the older generation of Al-Qaeda agreed with Abu Abdallah. Still followed. As for the al-Masri case at Jihad, the result was that when the Kais graduates tried to convince Abu Abdallah to pursue guerrilla warfare instead of a traditional base, way out of conflict, it was unsuccessful. Instead, they ended up joining Abu Abdallah, and a very good chance to carry out some excellent guerrilla warfare in the region was lost. Fortunately, the victory at Jihad, which we will discuss later, covered over this and other deficits that meant people did not want to talk about these shortcomings. Jihad battle. Instead, we argued we won. The impact of this failure to examine the events of Jihad and to learn from them became very clear in the Arab-Afghan folly. It's the Battle of Jalalabad in 1983. Leah Farrall. That is very interesting. Would it be correct then to say that the origins of the Taliban trace to an idea and a movement, while the Arabs, at least in Afghanistan, followed leaders? This resulted in the establishment of organizations like Al-Qaeda, that were often personality-based and in competition with one another. Mustafa Hamid. Yes, if we return to the Kais gambit as results, we could see the difference. The Arabs and the Afghans were in the same training, but after the Arab Mujahideen followed their leaders, while the Afghan Mujahideen followed the ideas they believed in. The Afghans eventually built a better outcome. Taliban. They affected the history of the world. We found. I think it is safe to say that Al Qaeda too affected the history of the world, don't you? Mustafa Hamid, yes. The outcome from Al Qaeda was not better, which we will discuss later. In relation to the Qais camp and its results, there were no Arab organization at the time. The ideas that eventually led to one called the Maktab al-Kidmat came in large part from the training at Qais. Here we should note that when an Arab organization was established in the form of the Maktab al-Kidmat, it too became a group that followed a leader or leaders, and that the ideas that it became badly affected by mismanagement, corruption, did not achieve all that it could have been supporting the Afghan Jihad. Now, Maktab al-Kidmat, which is translated to the Afghan Services Bureau, was an idea created by a couple of people. One of them was, of course, the influential Palestinian Imam, Abdullah Azam, and in Algeria, militant, and later on, guerrilla fighter. He wasn't a militant. He was a guerrilla fighter that had a large sway of influence in Afghanistan through Azam, was Abdullah al-Nasir. And later on, Osama bin Laden, because they needed bin Laden's money, built the Maktab al-Kidmat. And later on, Anas and Azam were falling out of favor of the Arab Afghans because they were about the ideas. Bin Laden and later on, Egyptian Islamic Jihad emir, Dr. Ayman al-Zawahiri, who was released from Egyptian prisons after the assassination of its president, Anwar Sadat, in 1980, took over the Maktab al-Kidmat. In the same sense, when Palestinian cleric took over a mosque in Brooklyn, the Al-Farouq, I forgot his name, was about the idea. The idea was to send money to Afghanistan to repair it, begin reconstructing it, while the blind Sheikh Omar Abdel Rahman, also from Egypt, from the group called Gamma Islamiyah, had him killed. Although no one was ever troubled. Leah Farrall. Competition too was affected by Maktab al-Kidmat. Now seems to be a good time to talk about the establishment of that organization. The inspiration for which I believe came from the proposals of you and your friends. Proposals that caused Sayat to initially brand you all enemy if you have. Dul Rasul Sayat. Mustafa Hamid. Yes, it is an interesting story. It's a very important chapter because it really is about the essence of the difference between the Taliban and Al-Qaeda. Is that, yes, Taliban is still existing. They're about the idea. And that they tolerated Al-Qaeda. Now, same time, with bin Laden dead, al-Zawahiri dead, Mullah Omar dead. Taliban and Al-Qaeda now form together as a government in Afghanistan, which makes them even bigger and greater than the Al-Qaeda that we were talking about here under bin Laden. Taliban is also bigger and greater than it was under Mullah Omar. This is something that we need to talk about because we need to keep strict attention to this one solid unit because they will be attacking the schools. Our foreign policy is disaster. All right, thank you very much for tuning in. See you next video. Take care.